If you're truly serious about improving your match performances and your tennis, you need to start recording yourself. The main idea is what can be measured can be improved. And with how easy to use cameras are these days, there's no reason why you can't get a simple mount from Amazon and then stick it on the back of a fence and ask your friend to just play a practice match, a practice set, or even some practice tie breaks against you, which is what I've done with my friend Jared here, the lefty that you're seeing on the other side of the court. So today I'm going to walk you through just a simple way of analyzing your point play so that you can reap the rewards of recording yourself. Then I'm also going to basically roast myself, where I will point out all the technical or tactical or mental, emotional, or physical errors that I make so that you can hopefully avoid them and learn from my mistakes. So your strategy can be based on who you're playing. So I know that my friend Jared, he's a big hitter. There are days where he gets really hot and just hits me off the court. But I know that in general, if I play the percentages, if I play smart tennis, and if I center the ball, I make lots of smart decisions, put the ball in the right place, I can normally eke out a win. So these were my 3 goals before I started playing the match. The first one was to have a first serve percentage that's higher than 65%. The second one was to have an aggressive error margin of 0. An aggressive error margin, that idea comes from Bill Jacobson. I learned it from Great Base Tennis. All that it is you want to have the winners and forced errors that you basically force of your opponent, and then you want to minus your unforced errors from that first number. And the closer you can get to 0, the better you're playing. And then if you're playing in the positives, you're having a really great day. And how do I achieve that? Well, one of the things that I set in place was I'm going to just simplify my targets, going to center the ball, and I'm going to be just playing really solid here. That's the goal here, just hit everything cross court, wait for the short ball, not take any risks, and most importantly, not miss in the net or miss wide. And all you need is a simple stat sheet like this. So I've made a simple one that has first serves, unforced errors, and forced errors and winners as columns. So as we watch these points, I will be keeping track of what's going on. And then at the end of the video, we will basically do a tally where we assess, hey, have I lived up to these goals that I set in place? And I'll place a way for you to download a copy of this basic stat sheet, either in my pinned comments or my description, so that you can also start your journey of learning to stat your own matches. Okay, here we go. We are watching my friend and I play each other. With my strategy for the match, I want to play to big targets. I want to make him play a lot of balls. So that's basically my target for the forehand cross court on the left here. And that's basically my target for the backhand cross court on the right. So all I'm doing is trying to hit the balls to those targets. All right, let's do it. Okay, first serve wide, second serve. Okay, so I have to assess here, was that a forced error? And I would say not really. All I did is just return the ball roughly through the middle, and friend Jared missed that forehand. Okay, we're coming up to my first serve. Again, keeping in mind, my idea is to get 65% first serves in. Okay, off to a bad start there. So 0 of 1. Okay. So again, pretty happy with that point because all I did was just center the ball right through the middle of the court. Nothing fancy, just lifted it nice and high. And I managed to land it through that center lane of the court. So pretty happy with that. 2 love to me. And just as an aside, I'm pretty new to the two-handed backhand. I've been trying out for about 7 weeks. So that's another video that can be made in terms of how you need to approach learning a new stroke, taking it through blocked, variable, random modes of practice. But you'll see it does become a bit more of an issue as the match goes on, that two-handed backhand does start to break down a little bit. I'm up 2 love. Okay, so 0 of 2 first serve, so not doing well so far. And a double fault. So far, not high level tennis by any means. You know, there's been a double fault at the start, an error, and then another error. But I just want to point out here, there's a few things going on my serve that we can talk about. But one of the first things that I'll talk about is if it's a second serve, in general, you know, you need to impart revolutions on the ball. The toss should have been just slightly more to the left. And that is because if I want to really impart revolutions on the ball, my racket head needs to be to the left of my hand more. It needs to be more to the left of my hand so that I can actually swing upwards on the ball. So right there, you know, I missed long because I couldn't put enough revolutions on the ball. And I believe it's because of where I placed that toss. So a technical error, but also a pretty poor match playing error in that I'm up 2-love in the tiebreak. This is where I need to keep the foot on the gas. This is where I need to really focus in and say this is a great start to the tiebreak. I need to really dial in here. So unforced error, double fault. Okay, so Jared hit just a great forehand there. He was just targeting the backhand. Obviously, you know, I've been working with him to work on my backhand, so he knows it's a pretty new and fresh shot. So all he has to really do is keep a couple balls in there nice and deep, really pressure me. And sure enough, I dropped the ball short, and he was able to come in and put the ball away. And that's always a challenge of playing someone who hits the ball fairly hard and well, is that they're going to blast winners against you, and you have to do your best to not get rattled because of that. Okay, so we're at 2-all. Here we go. Okay, so I think that ball landed in and he gave me the point. So in general, I'm pretty happy with how I'm hitting the ground strokes. I'm centering the ball. Again, these are my 2 target areas here. And if we go back, you'll notice that I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm not trying to go close to the lines. I'm just lifting straight up and out. Getting the ball through the middle, giving it lots of clearance, giving it lots of revolutions. And yeah, maybe that one went a little bit wide of the target, but I'm doing well there. Okay, so I'm up 3-2. And that's the first serve that I make. So we go 1 out of 3 there. And we'll also count that as a forced error because it's a serve. It's a first serve, you force an error, so you can add that to your forced errors and winners column. I believe we're at 3-all. And that is just a poor serve there, poor timing of the toss and the swing. So we are at 1 out of 4 serves. And let's watch that second serve again. That's the first serve. Let's watch that second serve again. So I did comment that on the prior one that the racket head needs to be to the left of the hand, which I think, if we go to the contact, I believe that frame is missed. You'll see that I'm achieving that a little bit better than the prior one that I missed, which is why I'm able to get enough revolutions and get that ball into the court. Okay, 4-2, 5-2, I believe I am at. Could be wrong here, we'll check. And Jared just hits a good serve, so it goes to 5-3. Nothing I can do about that. Again, it's one of those things, playing a player who hits the ball really well. You just need to accept that that's part of the equation. 5-3 to me. Okay, so 6-3, pretty happy with that return. Stood on the baseline, took it relatively early, and just drilled it down the line. So pretty happy there, 6-3 here. And again, we need to be making first serves. We need to be making first serves, really, if that's the goal. Let's see how we do. Okay, so made a first serve. 2 out of 5 first serves so far. But this is just a poor error in terms of the forehand, especially because, well, what were my goals? My goals were to play percentage tennis, to pick big targets in the court and to not miss wide and to not miss in the net. And I have missed the forehand wide. It's really a poor error, especially considering that I'm up 6-3 here. So not a very great tactical decision here. Should have just taken it cross court or approach there. Yet I tried to finish the point with a winner. So not good. Unforced error. So we're at forehand. Okay. Let's go ahead here. We're at 6-4. Okay. I'm going to roast myself a little bit here, which is that is not where I should be placing this ball for a first serve. I need to be placing the ball inside the court so I can swing up on it, so that geometrically it works best for me, and so I can move the racket faster at the contact. But you can see that based on where I landed, I just have not, we'll clear those little dots, I just have not landed far enough inside the court, which is why this serve missed long. This is from Vic Braden, and just as a general tip to keep in mind, I believe it's from Braden or could have been one of the coaches of the past, is that if you're not placing the ball inside the court, if you're missing long, you're not placing the ball inside the court enough, and if you're missing in the net, you're not swinging upwards enough. So it's 6-4, and I've missed another first serve. 6. There you go, second serve. And credit where credit's due, of course, because this is a fantastic return by Jared. Look at where he lands this return. And just in general, where should you be targeting your returns? A great place to target your returns is right through this middle alley here, but nice and deep. And that's a great ball. And obviously Jared knows my two-handed backhand is a liability just for the moment. So he's just hit a great deep ball into that backhand. And I've struggled to basically get my hands down fast enough. And, it all goes back to, well, I missed that first serve, so he has a look at a second serve. So that's why it comes back to 6-5. Okay, here we go. So 6-5, I still have one more chance to close it out. And he hits a great serve there, which makes it 6-all. So This is an issue from having, I think, a one-handed backhand where I can see that my right arm is taking over and it's pulling across the body as opposed to really with my left arm extending out a little bit more. But, you know, it is what it is. I've decided to make that transition to the two-handed backhand, so that's something I'm going to have to deal with for some time. So we are at 6-all here. Okay. And I missed the backhand long. So another, I wouldn't say another, but it is an unforced error on the backhand. Here we go, unforced error on the backhand. And he's up 7-6 all of a sudden from when I was up with quite a few points to win the tiebreak. Again, another poor service error where I mess up the timing of the toss with the serve. Because of that, he gets another look at a second serve. Okay, 7-all. Again, we are just sticking with the tactics from the ground, which is pick those two big targets and just hit deep and center the ball right through the middle of the court. Reduce the amount of angles that your opponent has to work with. And sure enough, he overhits the ball and misses. Oh, I think that might have actually been a string as well. Here we go. So obviously another error on the backhand. That backhand is really struggling in this kind of random phase, which is where it's at, which is what, you know, match play is. It's from blocked variable random. You need to basically pull out that motor program on the fly, which is what random means, and just struggling to put it all together here. And, you know, Jared's doing the smart thing. He's just keeping balls on that backhand side until he gets an error from me, which gives him the point. And that's the tiebreak to him. That's the first tiebreak to him. I'm not swinging up sharply enough to impart enough revolutions to get that ball in, so it goes long. All right, so pretty disappointing from being up, I believe 6-2 it was, to losing that tiebreak. But we're playing a best of 3 series here. So we're playing tiebreaks best of 3. So I'm going to just go back, just kind of reset, and see if I can just stick to my plan here, stick to my goals, and see how I do. Okay, so we're in tiebreak number 2. Let's say if we were the second set of a match. This is something I heard from Steve Smith at Great Base Tennis, which is when you lose a set, you are just down 1-love in a game to 2. So definitely not something you need to be disheartened about. You need to keep fighting. You need to figure out a way, fight your way through, and make a win. Again, poor serve. And another backhand error. So I'm down 0-1 in the second tiebreak, and, you know, obviously watching myself miss so many backhands in a row just tells me I'm still pretty far from having it be a confident and repeatable and dependable stroke, so I'll have a lot of work to do on the backhand. Okay, great serve by Jared. I get lucky to just lock that ball in, but all I do is just present my strings outwards to the target, and because of that, the ball will always go where the strings are facing. I managed to get it fairly deep, and he overhits on that. So we are at 1-all. Here we go. And then he sniffs me out with a great serve. Nothing I can do about that. So 1-2. Here we go. Another missed serve. So doing really poorly so far with that goal that I set out. Okay, pretty happy with that serve. I wouldn't count that in my forced errors column, but in general I do try to spin the ball into Jared's forehand because it is very, I'm sure he won't mind me saying it is very mercurial. Sometimes he'll hit a great shot, sometimes he'll struggle. Okay, again, poor. All right, 3-2 to me. And again, a good serve makes it 3-all. So this is where I talk to myself, and I think I'm having a little pep talk to myself where I'm not really using momentum in my return, where I'm just staying very static, very still, relying on my hand skills. So I believe here I'm trying to get myself to make a mid-match adjustment and say, yeah, there we go, that you need to be moving forward, especially on the first serve, to return this ball. Moving in, there we go. Good. Pretty happy with that return, just hard and deep through that middle. Something that I laid out that Jared did so well in that first tiebreak, where he hit that great return to my backhand. So I'm very happy that I could return the favor. 4-3 me. So here we go. All right, so we got an ace here. And we also get a first serve in, which has been a while since I've gotten a first serve in. So, and we go to 5-3. So again, I was in the lead in the first tiebreak and I lost that lead. So I'm wary of that. I'm trying to just stay motivated, keep my energy levels up. Okay. 5-4. So another backhand error. Another backhand error where I'm not lifting enough, or I'm not comfortable enough hitting that backhand in a random scenario. I'm still up 5-4. So let's see how we do. And that's just poor. So that's just poor. Poor reactions, just a little bit too slow getting up to that ball. And yeah, Jared got a bit lucky with hitting the net tape, but it is a good drop shot at the end of the day. So we go to 5-all here. Okay, so 5-all, very lucky here where he hits a great body serve, jams the left hip. I'm able to get out of the way and get it semi-deep into, well, let's be honest here, that's not very deep at all. And I just get lucky that he mishits his forehand. And all of a sudden, I'm up 6-5. So here we go. I'm thinking of making that first serve. Oof. Okay, so that is a pretty poor point in that I missed that forehand really here into the, I wouldn't even say the net tape, I would say 3/4 of the way up in the net. So I'm not lifting the ball enough, I'm not accelerating enough, and I would even go back to the mistake I made here was on this overhead. Yeah, Jared hit a deep-ish lob And I was doing my best to just get it deep, but I decided to move back as opposed to do my best. I know it's not always possible, but in general, if you hit an overhead, the last thing you want to do is head back to the baseline. So because of that, reset here, and I make an easy error. So poor, yeah, really a poor shot there. I need to accelerate more. Yeah, I know I'm trying to play high percentage tennis, but that doesn't mean I just push the ball in. But it is evens here. And again, poor serve. And if I'm being honest, I get a bit lucky there. That serve is fairly average, but I get an unforced error from Jared, and that's just, you know, as I mentioned, playing against a player who really hits the ball hard and well, sometimes you get lucky where things don't connect. Okay, we have a double fault, and that makes it 1-set-all. Okay, we are into the third and final tiebreak set here, so it's 1-set-all. So again, as a reminder, I want to have a high first serve percentage, then I also want to have a great aggressive error margin. Let's see how we do. Just out. Here we go. And again, another missed first serve. And just another poor error, right? I'm up 1-love, it's 1-set-all, and I just absolutely shank a forehand here. Hit it on the bottom edge of my racket, and I mishit it. So not exactly what I'm going for when I talk about playing really controlled high percentage tennis here. All right, an ace, and I get a first serve in. Jared's probably surprised that I am getting a first serve in, which is why he wasn't ready for it. 2-1. Okay, so I missed that approach shot here. Let's watch that again. Have to take the second hand off the racket. And I slide into the shot, so all right on the movement, but I probably just opened the racket face a little bit too much at the contact. Yeah, and then I push it long. So 2-all, I know it's tough. While you do want to be critical on yourself, you also have to understand that some shots are difficult. You can't be super mean or super critical. 2-all. Okay, so let's talk about a few things in this point here, actually. So here we go. We'll go back. Jared hits a great serve. So let's watch it in quarter speed. Jared hits a great serve, and I do my best to just stick my racket on it. I'm pretty lucky to get this ball to go fairly deep in the court. And you can do this as well, where you can fake and then go the other way. So you can just fake as if you're going one way and go the other way. Sometimes it works out. This time it worked out, but I wasn't really able to do anything on the ball anyways. And I put up a lob. He gets it pretty deep. and I'm unable to really do anything with the two-hander. I think I end up probably getting a bit too close to it. And this is where it's so challenging, right? If my hips are facing this way, which they are, I'm really in trouble, where all Jared has to do is put the ball right behind me here. He just has to put it behind me, and I'm in trouble, because look at where my hips are facing. My hips are already facing to the right. So to turn around it's such a struggle. So, it's a challenge because I'm so far out of court. So I can't just say, well, you don't want to recover the court. But if your hips are facing the wrong way and the player just puts it behind you, you're really in trouble there. Okay, we are at 3-2 to Jared. All right, make the first serve. 15, and I force an error there. We are at 3-all. So things are getting tight. 1 set all in the tie breaks, and 3-all. Again, first serve percentage. Really need to swing upwards on this ball, put it inside the court, and swing up. And that's just a poor miss there. Like, that's not even close to being in the court, where I toss probably too much over my head because I fall over to the left, and that ball misses wide by more than probably 2.5, 3 feet. So that's a really poor miss, where it's 3-all in the tiebreak. (4-3) to him. So just poor on the backhand, not deep enough. If we go back and watch the shot, this is the one that gets me in trouble. That lands probably 2 or 3 feet inside the service box, and any good player will just punish poor depth that way. And not a clean overhead, but again, it's a positioning game. If he's in that position there, he deserves to win that point. So he's in the driver's seat in this tiebreak. 5-3. Again, I'm unable to get the racket traveling upwards enough, and I end up pulling across the body. So let's watch here. Backhand. Yeah. Don't lift upwards enough, just pull across a little bit too much. So he's up 5-3 in the deciding breaker. Here you go. Just misses long there. I'll take it. Here we go. 4-5, back on serve. And I hit a good serve. Not bad, we'll take it. So again, you don't need me to explain it out, but yeah, when it starts to get pretty tight or close, you want to start making a lot of first serves to take just a lot of pressure off yourself. So we go to 5-all. And I hit a body serve, and I win the point. So I will take it. Hit 2 first serves in the really kind of tense situation of the tiebreak here. So in general, pretty happy with that. Not really happy with the numbers, which we'll do very soon. So he misses his first serve. And he double faults. And that's the tiebreak. That makes it, the tiebreak match to me. So very lucky to get through there. And at the end of your match, your stat sheet should basically look something like this. It should have some information filled out. So you can see in the unforced errors column, I have placed double fault, backhand error, backhand error, backhand error. Then there's a forehand error, forehand error. Basically, that's how you should be keeping track of your unforced errors. And then in the forced errors as well, this is where I've hit some second serves, I've hit some first serves, I've hit some aces, and I've hit some forehands that have forced the errors. And let's do the first calculation here, which is the match first serve percentage. So again, this is just going off of what I saw in the match and what I statted. It could be a little bit inaccurate, but I made 7 out of 17 first serves, which gives us an abysmal 40% first serves. Pretty low there, especially considering how one of my main goals was to get around 65% first serves in. So I would say that is not a goal that I was able to achieve. And now we're going to look at basically aggressive error margin, which is again, from Bill Jacobson. I learned it by Great Base Tennis. It's just the errors that you force your opponent into and the winners that you hit. You take that number and then you minus all your unforced errors. So let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 instances of, oh no, that's 8. Apologies. I have 8 instances of where I forced an error on my opponent or I hit a winner, and then I minus it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So excuse me, I minus 10 from 8. So I am at -2 with an aggressive error margin, and I'm at 41% with my first serve percentage. So my match first serve percentage is 41%, and then my aggressive error margin is -2. What were my goals? To get it around 0 for the aggressive error margin, and for the match first serve percentage, the goal was to get it to 65%. So I would say for the 2 main goals that I set in the match, I did not achieve them. I failed to achieve them. So I've written out basically an additional notes section, and it has space for technical, tactical, mental, emotional, and physical feedback. So one of the things that I saw for myself is that I made lots of backhand errors. Now, again, it's been about 7 weeks that I've been using a two-handed backhand. It is a challenge on that front, so I can be kind to myself with that in mind. But that being said, if it's something I want to take onto a competitive stage, I obviously need to do a lot of work on it. So I missed quite a few balls long, and I struggled with spacing in some of the other errors that I made. So that just tells me in the stroke as well what I need to work on. I need to work on my spacing really in a variable and random format when I have to pull out that backhand where the point is open. Then I also need to work on controlling revolution so I'm not missing that ball long. Tactically, look, I will say in general, I did stick to the plan fairly well of picking big targets, not going for crazy shots, trying to be the percentage player. So I will say I was able to stick to tactics well. And again, the tactics were created especially for the player that I'm playing against. A big hitter who will either blast me off the court or he'll make some unforced errors. So with that in mind, that's why I decided to really just be consistent and get a lot of balls in. Then there's the mental emotional side. So the mental side of tennis, how well was I able to stay present in the moment? How well was I able to recover from a poor point that I played? Was I able to narrow my focus just on the ball, all that stuff. And in general, I think I did a decent job of staying positive, staying consistent. I used to have a problem probably you can tell from this breakdown where I'm roasting myself, that I used to be overly critical of myself. But during the match, that's not really what you want. You want to be your own best friend when you're on the tennis court. So I would say I was able to stay positive and supportive of myself during the match. And the physical would be just anything you see basically with your physique or how you're reacting, how you're moving. So for me, it was sometimes a bit slow off the split step. So based on that, I probably need to do a little bit more, strength and conditioning stuff, maybe some plyometrics, all that stuff to help me react a little bit faster. But in general, this is how you want to analyze the match as well, through another bunch of lenses, which is the technical, tactical, mental, emotional, and physical, so that you know what you need to work on next, so that you can take this data and you can take your own assessment of your match and figure out what needs to be done in your game next to really help you improve. It's no point just getting off the match court and thinking, well, yeah, I think this happened or that happened or A happened or Y happened. You need to have basically objective data on what happened in your match. So I'm looking at my stat sheet and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 unforced errors on the two-handed backhand. You don't have to be a genius to say, all right, that is where I need to dedicate a lot of my mental effort when it comes to upskilling myself and upskilling my game. And then also, I had a pretty poor first serve percentage. So that is also where I need to dedicate a lot of time to upskilling myself. I hope that all made sense. Let me know if you have any questions with how you want to stat your own matches, how you want to approach playing your own matches and points, etc., etc. You want to have some goals that you want to hit in terms of how you play, and then you measure how you did against those goals. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.